You know the vibe. All spice, no sugar. Let's get into it.
Hello, my loves. Welcome back. We are back from America and back in the studio for another episode of the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast. And I'm wondering if you're noticing, if you're watching this, if you're noticing the new setup. How amazing is it? I love it. It's so cute. I said to the guys, I was over in America and okay, let me just tell you something, because when you go and travel overseas, when you go to a place like America where it's literally bred into their blood to go after your dreams, to chase your dreams, expand what you think is possible for you, you can't help but evolve and change and grow. And that's kind of like what we're going to talk about today, because I feel like the women of Australia need a little bit of a little kick up the butt from someone who just came back from America, of seeing how things are done over there and how we can take that energy, take that knowledge, take that going after it vibe and bring it back here into Oz to expand and grow our businesses. But first of all, I just want to touch on the vibe we've got going on here, because there is a lot of different things. Not only does the studio look different, but I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not wearing black. Right, a whole entire year of me wearing black with the full pink background, it's changed. I just woke up one day and I was like, I'm bored. I want to bring some more light. I want to bring some more color, and I want to bring some more life into the podcast. So I feel great. So I hope you enjoy that too. And I want to actually share with you like what came through. Okay, so let me take it back a few weeks. So I've been in America for the last 3 months, traveling and living my life in Texas, out of all places. Like, I did not expect this glam girl to absolutely fall in love with Texas. And I guess I fell in love with a man, and that man lives in Texas. So that's kind of the situation. And that beautiful man is now here in Australia with me as well. But America, okay, as I said before, the energy there is people are bred and believe in their core that if you are not chasing after your dreams, what the hell are you even doing? And that is something that I'm absolutely obsessed with, that I think Australians need to take a little bit more energy from. And I've noticed this quite a lot traveling overseas, is noticing how deeply rooted the Australian tall poppy syndrome actually is. And when you're in the Aussie bubble and even the Gold Coast bubble, you kind of don't really notice it. It's until you get yourself out of that bubble and you recognize, like, holy shit, the consciousness here, the collective consciousness, the communities here, yes, people are going after their dreams and building businesses online, but I feel like there's this unspoken cap of not to be too loud, not to go too big, not to be too bold, but to accept where you are and be humble and accept what you're receiving. And I'm not to say this from a place of ingratitude. I'm saying this from a place of, I want you to have permission to go bigger than what you've ever dreamt of before. And that is what America has done for me. And that's what kind of influenced this change of the podcast setup, the podcast vibes. Because for so long, I put myself in a box of only wearing black. It's got to be on brand. It's got to be the aesthetic. And over time, whilst it was easy and convenient, and I mean, probably over 50% of my wardrobe is black clothes, I reflected it to myself and I thought, how boring, how average, how mediocre. Like, I am not someone who is okay to settle for mediocre. And that might sound a little bit absurd with the business and the life that I have, but for me, this is still average, because I know my full potential is to be able to travel fully, speak on stages around the world, create generational wealth, and be the generational chain breaker of my lineage. And that might sound very ambiguous and grandiose, yet my soul knows, and I'm sure if you've listened to this podcast before and you've listened to any of my stuff and been in my world, the reason why you're in my world is because you have a part of you that believes that too. There's a part of you deep down that knows that there's more for you to live and to create and to hold. And I encourage you to really explore what that is for you. Whilst I was in America, I had the incredible opportunity to really reflect that upon myself. I got to ask myself these questions of how I was running things in my business. Is it aligned to where I want to go? Am I showing up the way that I want to? And when I looked at my podcast, I was like, this is boring. I feel I've, like I said, put myself in a box. So when I was getting ready this morning, I was like, no, we're going different. No more black. We've changed the setup. So what that means for you is you get to give yourself more permission to go and do the things that you want to do, to show up the way that you want to show up. And this is something that I also teach my clients as well, is the way that you show up in the world is the step one to knocking over the dominoes to have that ripple effect in your life. I always say to my clients, sometimes I'll tell my clients to quite literally go and have a shopping spree and to start dressing how you want to show up as the person that you are becoming. Because what that does to your brain and your psychology is it actually tricks your brain into thinking that you're already there. And that's what we're going to be going into today, is how to trick your brain into thinking that you're already there. And as a result, things will show up in your life differently. Opportunities will present itself. People will come into your world that will shift you and unlock the next level for you. And it all begins with your language. So there's 4 things that I want to go into today that high-level women need to stop saying to themselves. And I hear this all the time from 6- and 7-figure business owners, and sometimes it blows my mind. I had a VIP day quite recently, about 3 days ago, with my high-level clients. These are multi-6 and multi-7-figure entrepreneurs who I work with in my close proximity mastermind and one-on-one programs. And even though they are quite successful in their niches and in their industries, I noticed the language that they were communicating to me with. And this is something that I do all the time, unconsciously, with my clients. Anyone who comes into my world, when you're talking to me, I'm listening to what you're saying, but also deeper down, I'm actually paying attention to the unconscious language that you are using. And this unconscious language that you are using is the dictator and determines the results that you generate in your life. And you may be aware of that. You may know, what you say you become. You may be aware of your languaging. Some of you have probably done NLP or some type of language certificate, sort of like psychology or mindset, and you understand that language is really important and what you say to yourself is really important. But I want to go deeper into that. Things that you say that sound innocent and sound logical and sound responsible, but are quietly eating away at you. Because this has been quite a big wake up for me recently, and I've had the aha moments. And for me, I'm like, okay, that is a massive roadblock for me to generate to my next level. If you guys know me, you know how much I absolutely love the inner work, constantly working on my personal development, constantly working on myself and my soul, because I know that is the key principle to scaling my business. So I want you to recognize when I go through these 4 statements today, how you are showing up in the world and how potentially you are your own roadblock to your next level. Because as I said, your language determines your outcomes. And you may not be aware that what you're saying sounds about right, but is actually deep down holding you back. So these are 4 phrases that high-level women need to stop saying, especially if they are committed to building an empire. Sentence number 1, I don't want to come across as too much. I don't want to come across as annoying. Okay, we're going into my own breakthrough right now. It's sentence number 1, kicks off straight away. I don't want to be too much, or I don't want to be too annoying. And I see this show up all the time in women when it comes to selling, when it comes to creating content, when it comes to asking for what you want. And whilst that sounds courteous and kind and, I don't want to go above and beyond and go and be too much, what that is telling me is that you're actually in fear of being seen. Because if you were fully visible, it opens up the gateway for you to experience rejection. So, what often happens is when people say something to me along the lines of, I don't want to be too annoying by creating too much content or selling too much or asking for the sale constantly in my socials and on my online platforms, what that seriously tells me is you're in fear of rejection. And it might sound nice in the sense of I still want to build a personal brand that provides value. Okay, that's usually what's followed by that sentence is I want to provide value. I want to provide education. I don't want to be too much. I don't want to ask for the sale too much. Again, that tells me that deep down you're in fear of rejection. And what I usually notice is you feel like you're talking about your offers or asking for the sale or being too much. But when some external eyes, a professional and a strategist like myself, comes and actually looks over how you're showing up, it's immediately obvious that you're not showing up enough to the degree in which you are required to if you want to shift into your next level, if you want to shift into that next income threshold. You can't simply do that by playing small or just showing up enough or not being too much. And I'm going to share with you something I had a recent breakthrough, okay? One of my favorite processes that I've been very blessed to work with Cody McAuliffe, who's one of my mentors, and he's the founder of the holographic method. And if you've heard of him before, you would know how amazing the holographic method is. And if not, I highly encourage you to go find Cody McAuliffe on social media, see his body of work. He's an absolute master at his craft. And I've done so many personal development things in my life, events, certificates, all of the things. And this is the deepest work that I've ever done. I've done NLP, I've done coaching certificates, and nothing has ever gone remotely close to how deep holographics does. And this is still a process that I use on myself to this day. I did this process only last weekend, and it gave me a huge breakthrough. I've done the process maybe over 10 times now, and it still provides so much insight into how I'm showing up in the world. And when you recognize how you're showing up in the world, it gives you power to shift that, evolve that, to actually evolve who you are, not just in business, but in life. And by doing this process, it's allowed me to really unlock parts of myself that I've either been in fear to show up as or shamed myself about. And when I've brought myself into wholeness with that, it's allowed me to traverse into my next level. So the holographic method, it allows you to see deeper parts of yourself and to recognize deeper parts of yourself, and the energy that you're holding in hiding that part of you away instantly dissolves, which then opens you up to receiving so much more. So the process that I did on myself was annoying. I had this memory pop up. Actually, this kind of came to me when I was in the US and I went to a 3-day event in the US with Mark's mentor. Shout out to Nick Comandino. He's an absolute legend. And in this 3-day event, this memory popped up when I was 12 years old. I was the youngest of 4, baby only girl. I had 3 older brothers, and I used to always want to hang out with my older brothers. I used to love hanging out with them, and that's probably why I've never really related to people my age. I've always had friends that are older than me. When I was growing up, I wanted to be cool and hang out with my older brothers. And I had this vivid memory come to me. And in this memory, I wanted to hang out with my brother and his friends. And he said to me, "No, Candy, go away. You're annoying. Like, we don't want to hang out with you." Like, which when you think about it, makes sense. Okay. Older brother doesn't want to hang out with his younger sister. Makes sense. But to the younger version of me, she was heartbroken. She was sad. She was upset because she's like, "What is wrong with me?" I couldn't understand in that moment what was happening. And in that moment, I formed a belief about myself to not be too annoying. And as a coping mechanism from that tiny micro moment in my life, it's not necessarily traumatic, it's just kids being kids. But in that moment, that tiny moment, I decided, I didn't know, of course I wasn't conscious this was happening, but my unconscious body, my subconscious mind put up this protection mechanism to protect me from that rejection happening again. So I created this cool cucumber personality, persona, this cool girl kind of vibes. Like nothing really bothered me. I was cool, wasn't really affected. And over time, that cool cucumber personality and vibe of myself was actually just a mask. It was a protection mechanism for me to avoid ever having that rejection come up again. And so as I was doing this holographic process, I was doing it on myself as annoying. So the whole principle of the process is to see yourself at a deeper level. And with Iconica, also, if you're not coming to Iconica, what are you even doing? It is Australia's leading business gala for female entrepreneurs. It's happening in less than 2 months on the 19th of September. Get your ticket. Tickets are selling. I'm going to put that in the show notes below. But as I'm creating Iconica and I'm having to negotiate with brand partners, speakers, vendors, venues, AV, tech, events manager, I'm having to up level my skill set so exponentially. And I recognized I was playing out this pattern of I was in fear of being annoying, of having to follow up again and again and again for some speakers and some brand partners and sponsors. And I was like, oh no, like I don't want to be too annoying. I don't want to be too annoying. And my mentor actually called me out. She was like, you need to be annoying because you need to organize your event. You've got a 200-person event. And if you don't be annoying, these speakers aren't going to get back to you. These sponsors aren't going to get back to you. So Candy, you actually need to be annoying for you to be successful with this event. So are you going to be annoying? And I was like, oh my God, I know I needed to be annoying, but my body felt really uncomfortable. And I recognized it felt uncomfortable because the last time that I was annoying, when I was a 12-year-old, it meant rejection. And so I was in fear of rejection. And so when I did this process, I recognized you go through this entire pendulum swing of seeing how that was negative for you and then seeing what that did for you and the kind of outcome of doing the process on me being annoying. It had me realize how that is a superpower. It had me realize how important being annoying is in business, because if you're not annoying, how do you expect to evolve, to get sales, to build a community, to build your social media? You have to be in people's faces all the freaking time. You have to be annoying. You should be annoying. You should be annoying and asking for the sale, because not only does that communicate and open up the opportunity for you to sell more people and to grow your community and to grow your business, but it also tells people how convicted you are in your offer, in your business, in your body of work. And when I had this aha moment, I was like, oh my God, me being annoying or me being too much, linking it back to the sentence at the beginning of too many women are in fear of, or saying the language of, I don't want to be too much, or I don't want to be annoying in my content. It's linking back to that fear of rejection. But babe, you actually need to be. If you're not annoying, someone else is going to come over and they're going to be more annoying, and they're going to be the person who creates success. They're going to be the person who builds their social media, builds their community, because they were annoying and they were constantly in people's faces. And that's not a bad thing to be annoying. It's your due diligence. It's your responsibility. It's what's required of you. Your business isn't going to grow. Your socials aren't going to grow. Your community isn't going to grow if you're not talking about it all the time, if you're not inviting people to your world all the time. Be more, be too much, go OTT, go over the top, be annoying, because that is the passage, that is a pathway for you to become the version of yourself and create the business and create the life that you want. So I'm giving you full permission, if you're listening to this right now and you've said that sentence before of, I don't want to be too much. Girl, you need to be much. You need to be OTT, because that is a pathway for you to create the impact that I know you want to create deep down. So that is phrase number 1. Phrase number 2, I just need to be more organized. Oh dear. The perfectionists will love this one. I just need to be more organized first, or I need to have I need to have my landing page set up before I sell my offer. I need to have this before I can have that, which is the biggest roadblock that I see a lot of high level women who can have a controlling aspect. They love to know all of the ins and the outs in their business. They love to have control. They love to have their eyes over everything. They love to be a perfectionist. I get it, doll. I get it. It is the biggest cock block in your business. What I encourage you to do is take more messy action. As a ManyGen, one of my traits that has helped me generate so much success at a rapid speed is my messy action. Okay, I can launch things half done. I can create things and fix it up along the way. And I will also admit too, there has been times where I've held myself back because I've been waiting for a photo shoot to come through, a video to be perfect, a landing page to be pristine, a funnel to be funneling. I've held myself back because I've waited for the time to be right or for things to be perfect. And that is the biggest roadblock that you can put on yourself, waiting for things to be right, because you and I both know, you've heard it before, that there is no right time. There is nothing can be perfect. It's better to go and do the thing and figure it out along the way than to wait, because if you wait, someone else is going to come in and do the thing. And have you ever noticed that you've had an idea before, that you've wanted to maybe run an event, maybe create a mastermind, and you've had this idea and you've been building it in the back end for quite some time, and then someone else has gone and done it. They've created an event exactly the way that you wanted to. They launched a mastermind with the exact same name as you. And you're like, oh, that was my idea. I was going to do that thing. And you start to build this bitterness and this resentment to yourself, or maybe to that person. But deep down, it's actually resentment to yourself because you were waiting. You were holding yourself back from doing the thing because you were perfecting it. You were over controlling and over analyzing everything. What happens is, and I'm wondering if you've heard this phrase before, is there is something called the field mind. And the field mind is, we're all connected into it. Especially if you're in similar industries, you're connected to the field mind, which means you're connected to a body of consciousness that multiple other people are connected to. So that is why when you have an idea come through, you will have an idea come through to you and you're like, oh, this is really cool. I want to run this event. I want to launch this program. And if you sit on it for too long, or if you wait for everything to be perfect and for the ducks to be lined up, then someone else is going to receive that same idea or that same download who is connected into the same field mind that you are. And if you don't act on that idea that you got, it's going to leave and go to someone else who has more of the audacity and the tenacity and the courage to implement it and action it. So that is why when you get an idea and you start to build it and get really excited, if you don't action it, it's going to go to someone else who has the courage to implement it. Because your ideas, they are bodies of energy. They are entities. This is what I teach my clients in my high-level masterminds is your masterminds and your programs and your containers that you actually birth, even your events, your retreats, whatever it is that you do, they have their own energetic signature. They have their own energy in their entity. And how I work with my clients is I teach my clients how to actually tap into that entity and actually work with and cooperate with and co-work with the energy of their program. And what that does is that's a form of channeling. And that is what creates such a unique energetic signature in yourself and in your programs that makes people want to work with you specifically. And as I said, if that entity doesn't have a relationship built on it with you, it'll go to someone else who has the courage to actually action it. So when you see someone else in your field who goes and creates the program that you had in mind, it's because that energy has gone from you, because you haven't actioned it, to someone who will. So that is why I say, when you receive an idea or a download, you must immediately action it straight away, because it's going to go to someone else. And then you're going to build resentment, or you're going to build bitterness to it. But that's not about that person. It's yourself, because you didn't have the courage, or you're waiting for things to be perfect before you actioned it. So what it tells me when someone says, now's not the time, I need to wait for things to be organized before I can go and action it, is you don't trust yourself enough. You don't trust that you can take action without it being perfect. So I encourage you to actually lean into the messy action. And this is going to be hard for my generators and my perfectionists and also projectors as well, because I know that you really like things done well. And that's not to say that you can't execute well. It's to say that you need to move and figure out more things as you go along the way, because that is what's actually going to propel you forward and to have that quantum shift effect. If you want to generate success faster, results faster, you have to lean into that little bit of messy action, because I guarantee things are going to align themselves faster when you lean into that, rather than always trying to have things organized. You're just putting roadblock upon roadblock upon roadblock if you have that approach. Sentence number 3, or phase number 3, that you need to stop saying is, I'm just being realistic. Girl, okay, we need to add a little spice to the realistic. We need to add some delusion to that, because what high-level woman, high-level entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur ever said, I'm just being realistic, or ever build a business on realism? No, they had to be delusional. They had to be audacious to go and create the thing that they created. Being realistic is, again, just holding yourself back. It's another form of perfectionism. It's another form of protection. It shows me that you don't actually believe in what you can do. It shows me that there is a layer and a level of doubt underneath what you're doing. When someone says, oh, I'm just being realistic, I need to think about it, I need to be logical about the decisions I make. And this shows up in investing in themselves, like investing in a mentor, investing in a program. This also shows up in running events, because events are expensive. I don't know if you know this. If you've run events before, you would know. But events are expensive. And some people will be like, oh, I can't run this event because I'm just being realistic. I've got to punch my numbers. I have to be honest with myself with where I'm at. Excuse me. I've had this many a times in sales and objections of, I just need to punch my numbers. I just need to see if I can work this in first. And again, that is the realism, the logical mind taking over. It's a protection mechanism because you don't trust the unknown. You're keeping yourself in the comfort zone, which, if you know personal development 101, nothing changes in the comfort zone. You have to step into the uncomfort zone and then into the unknown zone. The unknown zone, when you're in that, it's fucking scary. Okay, girl, I'm not going to lie. It is uncomfortable. It's beyond the discomfort zone. It's in the unknown zone because you don't really know what's around the corner. But that is where the exponential growth occurs. When you say to yourself, I just need to be realistic and logical right now. I need to have things in place before I can take the next step. Again, you're just putting that block upon block upon block. And it tells me that you have a distrust with yourself, and there's deep-rooted fear of the unknown because you don't fully believe in yourself. You don't fully believe in what you're capable of. So I say to my clients, always add a little bit of delusion. Always add that spice in, because when you add that spice of delusion, add that spice of audacity, that's where the magic happens. That's where opportunities flock to you, where things that you didn't know were possible suddenly become possible. And I'm going to share a story about a client of mine, a recent client of mine who just did a 20K cash month. The month prior, she was living in Melbourne, and she's like, I'm pretty much going to buy a one-way ticket to Thailand. She was running a retreat in Thailand, and my realistic brain tells me that I need to have X, Y, and Z sorted before I can go. Then I need to have a plane ticket back to Australia. I need to have my accommodation set up. I need to have my step-by-step itinerary set up. And I said, what if you just went in fully into the unknown zone and allowed the universe to provide for you and unlock what was possible to you? And simultaneously within that, she said to me, Candy, I want to do a 10K cash month. And I said, amazing. Okay. I gave her a process in how I help my clients regulate into their next record cash month. I helped her form a offer a program that actually allowed her to have that 10K month. And what she did was not just do a 10K month, she did a 10K day and then proceeded on to do a 20K cash month. And if she allowed her logic mind to reason with her, to have things set up step by step, she wouldn't have unlocked that potential within her mind to even have that 20K month possible. Because when she said to me, I want to do a 10K month, okay, I said to her, great, create a 10K offer. And her brain, she said to me, my logic brain is saying that's way too much. I have to be realistic to myself that I'm not able to sign a 10K client. I don't even have a 10K group program right now. I said, great, create one. Add some delusion, add the spice of audacity to it. Ask for what you want. And of course, she went and did that 20K month. But if she had listened to the logic mind, I know that she wouldn't have done that, because she would have held herself back. She would have said to herself, but I'm not worthy of a 10K program. I don't even have a 10K program. But instead, she added the delusion, created something. She was audacious, asked for the sale, and then doubled it. So where are you playing out the realistic goal while simultaneously keeping you so stuck and short of what you actually want to create for yourself? Believe in the delusion, add the spice, and you'll never know what's possible. All right, sentence number 4. This last one hurts my soul. Hurts my soul because it is me to a T. It's a past version of me to a T. Is the I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm got it sorted. I'll figure it out. I'm okay. The high level woman, the toxic high level woman, the masculine woman who can do everything. I want to see you right now. I see you because I know that you can figure it out. I know that you are fine. I know that you have an insane capability of always working it out and doing it yourself. You've probably said to yourself a number of times, if you want a job done well, you've got to do it yourself. And you're probably the type of person who does hire. I'm speaking to myself right now. You're the type of person who does hire, does delegate because you know you need to, but then goes over and double works. You go over everyone's work and fix it yourself because it's easier for you to fix it yourself than to lead better, communicate better, allow your team members or your clients actually learn. You're just like, I'm fine, I'll just do it myself. This breaks my heart because I know how much of a block this is for your next level. I recently signed with a new one-on-one client, and she's very much in her masculine. She's created a successful business through this approach of, I'll just do everything myself. I'm better doing it myself. It's faster to execute, blah, blah, blah. And that's great. And that energy, that masculine energy is really required of you to scale to that first 6 figures, that first multi 6 figures, like first 10 to 20K month mark. But you can only get so far with that. You can only get so far because after a while, it begins to burn both ends of the candle. It begins to burn you from the inside out. It can only get you so far. If you want to scale to multi 5-figure cash months, if you want to go into 30, 40, 50K, 60K months, even beyond that, of course, there's still an element of masculine hustle that you need to implement into your business and execute. But if you have that I'm fine over the top, you're so detached from what your body actually needs, what your inner being actually needs, what your emotional body needs. And that creates so much disconnect to your work, to yourself, to your friends, to your relationship, to your soul. And when you're disconnected from your soul, everything turns bland. Everything turns boring. And I know you got into business to have that freedom, to create on your own terms, to have that individuality. So if you continue to put this mask over the top of you, and it breaks my heart because I know it's just a protection mechanism, because there's a lack of trust in others. There's a lack of trust in giving away your work, because there's like this controlling mechanism of having to like hold on to everything and white knuckle everything, because that gives you a sense of validation. That gives you a sense of worth. And who are you without controlling everything? Who are you if you actually allow yourself to be supported by other people, whether it's supported by a partner, whether it's supported by a mentor, whether it's supported by your team. Who are you if you allow to have more of that feminine receivership, stepped back energy? And I'm here to tell you, my love, as a CEO scaling to 7 figures and multi 7 figures, you need to have that feminine energy to allow yourself to receive support from other people. Because if you're putting this I'm fine block up in front of you and preventing other people from supporting you, you're also blocking yourself from receiving in all areas of life, receiving love, receiving money, receiving opportunities, because you're keeping them at arm's length out of protection. And I get it. I get there's been things that have happened in the past where you're like, well, you've created so much evidence around being the strong one, around being the one who's always got it figured out. And I feel that so deeply in my soul because this has been me and it still is me at times. I'll put on this strong face because I know that I will always figure it out, that I will always get the job done. Even if I'm dying inside, that's great, but it can only get you so far. I know that the more help and support that I bring into my business, the more that I can tap back into my inner creator. And that is the magic that's going to get me to my next level. So if you're the type of woman, the type of high level woman who is that person who says I'm fine, who says I'll figure it out, I really want to encourage you to actually receive the support. Maybe it's bringing a mentor into your space who sees you at that deeper level and knows how to work with you. Because I'm going to assume that you've been in your masculine for so long that you actually don't even know what it's like to be held by the feminine, to be led by the feminine, and to actually soften into your own feminine. And it might seem scary and your brain is probably going to tell you, but in order for me to make more money in my business, I need to work harder. And for someone who is scaling to multi 5-figure months, which is, if that's you, the masculine isn't going to get you there. The feminine is the way. It's actually recognizing when you're putting your own blocks up. If you've said any of these 4 phrases currently in your business, then that is a sign that it's actually time to work on the inner creator. You've done so well creating a successful business so far, but that is your block. And I guarantee you're probably feeling the things of everything that I once did to get success isn't working anymore. You're probably currently feeling blocked, overwhelmed, exhausted, probably even resenting your business because whilst it's generating you success, it feels bland. You feel dead inside. And if that's you, I invite you to step into that mentorship space. Maybe right now, and whether it's me, whether it's another mentor that you've had your eyes on, go for it. Receive the support in your business to unlock your next level. And if that's not a now thing, then I invite you to also come to Iconica, because I know in that room you'll see what's possible for you when you embody both the masculine and the feminine energetics. When you actually give yourself the permission to receive more, to open up your potential, to go all the way with what you know is possible for you. And I know inside the room of Iconica, you're going to be sitting around women, high-level women who think and feel the same way that you do, who want more from themselves and want more from their business. And that is really what Iconica is all about, is celebrating female founders, female entrepreneurs and their success, and also simultaneously giving you the passage and the pathway for you to evolve into that next version of you. So I'm going to pop below into the show notes links to get your ticket to Iconica. VIP tickets are selling out, and I would love for you to get a VIP ticket because I want to meet you personally. I want to be able to share a glass of champagne with you at the VIP after party. And the after party is only available for those who get a VIP ticket. Otherwise, you can get general, and that gives you access to the full day of the event. But personally, I'm a VIP girly, so I like to always get the extra bells and whistles. And if that's you too, please get a VIP ticket. So get your ticket below. We are weeks out, which is kind of really, really scary, but also extremely exciting because I know this is going to change the trajectory for so many women. I know what events like this have done for me in my business, so I can only hope and I only know what it's going to do for you. So get your ticket below and please help us grow at the Don't Sugarcoat It podcast. I'm committed to helping you grow. So I know it's a bit annoying, but it really goes a long way when you just hit that subscribe button, give us a review, follow us on social media. Anything to help us grow the business, grow the podcast is so massive. And it means that you like listening to me too. So thank you, my beautiful babe. I hope this provided value and really shone a light on things that maybe you've known were a bit of a block, but needed someone to kind of call you out. So you're welcome. You know the vibe. All spice, no sugar. And I'm going to see you in the next episode.